Some crimes fade into history. Others stay alive in whispers, legends, and nightmares. And then there are the crimes so horrifying, so calculated, and so devastating that the world itself can never forget. This is the story of one of those crimes. A story of innocence stolen, lives shattered, and a mystery that still raises questions decades later. It was a chilly autumn evening in October 1985 in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside Chicago. Families were winding down from their day. Dinners finished, children tucked into bed, the streets quiet under the dim glow of streetlights. In one modest home, the Clarkson family was settling into their nightly routine. David Clarkson, a respected accountant, his wife, Linda, a devoted mother, and their two children, Melissa, age 10, and Andrew, just 7. By all accounts, the Clarksons were the kind of family you'd pass in the grocery store and never think twice about. Normal, ordinary, safe. But that night, their lives would collide with something unspeakable. At 2:17 a.m., neighbors awoke to the faint sound of a dog barking. Minutes later, the sound of shattering glass. By morning, police would discover what words can barely describe. The Clarkson home had become the site of one of the most brutal family slayings in American history. Inside, investigators found signs of a break-in to the back kitchen window. But what they uncovered in the bedrooms was something far darker than a burglary. David and Linda had been bound with duct tape and attacked with extraordinary violence. Their children, Melissa and Andrew, were found in their rooms, lifeless, but with no clear cause of death. The only thing missing from the house was the family's VCR, a cheap, outdated machine worth maybe $80. Police were baffled. This wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. This was something else. Word of the murders spread quickly. By sunrise, news crews surrounded the block, filming the quiet street that now held a horror story. Detectives combed through the scene. There were no fingerprints, no forced entry beyond the broken glass. The killer, or killers, had moved with chilling precision. The children's cause of death only deepened the mystery. The coroner found no stab wounds, no blunt force trauma. Instead, both children had been suffocated with care. Deliberately, silently. Why? The FBI became involved within days. A crime this brutal, this calculated, was not the work of an amateur. And then, just as the investigation gained momentum, things took a disturbing turn. Less than a week after the Clarkson murders, 2 other families in neighboring towns were found dead in eerily similar circumstances. Entry through a window, parents bound and assaulted, children suffocated. A single random household item missing. To the public, it looked like madness. To investigators, it looked like a signature. The media called him the Phantom Intruder. But the truth was even worse. A break in the case came when a survivor, a teenage girl from a Ford-targeted home, escaped through a window. She told police she had seen the man's face. Calm, cold. He wasn't frantic or rushed. He moved as if he'd done this before. And when he noticed her escape, he didn't chase her. He simply turned, walked back into the house, and vanished into the night. With a witness account, police built a sketch. Tips poured in by the hundreds. But the killer was always one step ahead. Cameras caught nothing. Fingerprints led nowhere. Every crime scene was both chaotic and meticulously controlled. Then came the discovery that horrified even hardened investigators. In each home, the missing household items, VCRs, radios, lamps, were not taken for value. They were later found abandoned in public places. Almost like trophies. Almost like messages. The FBI now believed this wasn't just a killer. This was someone taunting them. In early December, a break appeared. A local drifter was arrested carrying duct tape, rope, and gloves. For weeks, police thought they had their man. But DNA evidence later cleared him. The real killer was still out there. And then the murder stopped. Just like that. For nearly 4 months, the Chicago suburbs had lived in fear. Families boarded windows. Fathers slept in living rooms with baseball bats. Children whispered the name Phantom Intruder at school. And then silence. No more break-ins. No more bodies. Investigators believe the killer may have died, been imprisoned for another crime, or simply moved on to another city. leaving behind a trail that no one connected. To this day, the Clarkson murders and the Phantom Intruder killings remain unsolved. The crime scenes were preserved in FBI files, the evidence boxed away. Families of the victims still live with a void of unanswered questions. No justice, no closure, just silence. Some crimes are remembered because of their brutality, others because of their mystery. But the Clarkson murders and the Phantom Intruder's reign of terror are remembered because they remind us of something darker. That sometimes evil does not come with reason. Sometimes it comes quietly into the places we feel safest, into our homes. It takes what it wants, and then it disappears. This was more than just a murder. It was a warning, a crime the world will never forget. If you believe stories like this should be told, share this video, subscribe, and keep the memory of the victims alive. Because sometimes the only way justice survives is when we refuse to let the world forget